This is a very powerful message, a prophetic message for the people in regards to leadership, the ones who have lost contact with God because they had disobeyed God. And the reason why this is so important is because we are listening to these leaders, bishops, pastors, who have disobeyed God and are not even hearing God's voice because of their disobedience. But there is still people there still going to listen to them and take advice from them. Let's turn to the scripture. And this is a very powerful scripture. And this is about Saul. Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes. And at night, he and two men went to the woman. "Consult the spirit for me," he said, "and bring up for me the one I name." Now, this is from 1 Samuel, verse 28, chapter 28, starting at verse 8. But the woman said to him, "Surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off mediums and spirits from the land. Why have you set up a trap for my life to bring about my death?" So this is when Saul was listening to God. He had cut off all the mediums and spiritists from the land. But now that he is not hearing God's voice from his disobedience, he is now consulting the people who he had banned from, so that they might be able to contact and receive information and messages from another God. Now, this is very, very powerful. Saul swore to her by the Lord, "As surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished for this." Even though I'm disobeying my God, he knows that I am disobedient. So he's going to punish me instead of punishing you. Okay. Then the woman asked, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" He said, "Samuel." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried at the top of her voice and said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." So she thought that Saul was there to set her up, but in all actuality, the contact that Saul had with his God was cut off. Now, this is very dangerous because we are taking leadership and advice from people who have disobeyed God and has been cut off from God. I've seen it with Eddie Long. He had disobeyed God greatly and he was cut off from God, but his church was still thriving. His ministry was still going. People were still taking advice and listening to him, and he was cut off by the contact of God. So when people are cut off by the contact of God, the God that you think you're worshiping now, you're getting advice from another God, and it might not be from a good place. So you have to have discernment. You have to know when the contact of God has been shut off, and many people cannot do it. They are going to other people of other gods and getting advice from them and bringing it back to you. She knew as soon as she brought up Samuel that was Saul. And if you know the description of a medium, the medium contacts the dead. And in the Christian word, it says that you do not supposed to wake up the dead. The dead are supposed to stay dead. That is one of God's rules and laws. And Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. So Samuel was a very powerful prophet. Saul knew he had done wrong, and he was trying to get back into God's grace and mercy, pulling Samuel from God so that he can get a message from God when God already had cut him off. Warning to you, do not listen to people who have been cut off from God for their disobedience, for the sins that they have been committing, because they will sit up there in front of you and preach and advise you when they know they are the sinners, and the sinners will be punished, because in the end, Saul's punishment was in great ruin. He had to sit on his sword, and his sword decided his life fate and he died a horrible death. You do not want to listen to someone who has already died in the eyes of God.